Hello guys, it's me, Stark, and I'm here today to share something very special with you. I did play a LAN event this weekend. Yes, the Onimaru Brasil Saga came to an end. It was a 2v2 tournament hosted by Onimaru that featured Brazilian players. That were like several different divisions segregated by rating, and I did play the 2K Plus. In the 2K Plus, we did have like most of the Brazilian players taking part in it, and this is my team. It's me here with the bats. Well, hard not to find me, right? And this is Bro. Bro was my partner here during the tournament, and we did win the finals here against the other team, Gabi and Miguel. I'm here to share with you some of the screens and start to talk about the tournament, how it went, and later I'm gonna share some details on how preparation for tournament goes on, strategies, and also a few interesting games and strategies. So to start with, let's take a look on a bit another pictures here. How can I even go through? Oh, this is interesting. We also had the presence of several other players. For example, on this small video here, you can actually see we were actually before the games talking with some of the guys that attended to the event. And yeah, this one in the screen, this guy here is Jordan. So Jordan was there. He was taking part into the Onimaru bootcamp. So he was there, and Brew was actually showing him that Brew got disqualified on a 4-2 score in a Red Bull qualifier by Jordan. Jordan didn't remember. Yeah, he had stumped many guys. I was here explaining to Kingstone how to properly use the bat. I hope I have convinced him to start his own Mexican bat, right? So basically this is me explaining to Kingstone how the things were in the best time, and yeah, he looks a bit concerned. He should. He's a great contender for the bat. So this was very interesting. Oh, let's take a look here on the video because there were even more players there. Not only Jordan, but we also had the presence of this is Gabi, PL, Dogao, most known here, one of the most known names of the Brazilian guys. This is Sub-Zero, this is another guy, a 2K guy from Brazil that also played on the tournament. We're going to show it later how it went for him. There are more guys there. Are they going to appear on the video? I don't think so. But basically we also had together with Jordan and Kingstone, we also had Vinchester taking part into the event as well. Let's try to take a few more pictures. I'm basically sharing some of the pictures that Gabi shared with us. This is Gabi showcasing some of the guys that went there. So we had Vinchester here, Gabi, Jordan, Kingstone. Guys, we are actually looking at something around. This image has like, I don't know, 2K, 12K or 13K elo. I think that there's like 13K elo together on this photo combined. We have like one of the best players from each country. Vinchester, the best player from Russia, Jordan, the best player from Germany, Kingstone, the best player from Mexico, and Gabi, soon to be the best player of from Brazil. Only a few steps until she actually does that. These are the post-final photos. Basically, we're just receiving the prizes. Yeah, we had some trophies. Where's my trophy? There it is, guys. I received this trophy. Yeah, first place on the Onimaru stuff and so on. It was very cool from the organizers to actually get some trophy for us. I did enjoy very well. And this was the X-Dome Arena where we actually played. It's a small arena. We actually sold like 70 tickets for players attending there, and they could actually watch the games here on this big screen, getting casted by guys like Fire, Goku, Riut, most of the Onimaru guys, and also commentating over the games. And you could also watch the games here on these beautiful gamer chairs here. Very comfortable, right? There we are, receiving the prizes here from Ton Shibata, owner of Onimaru, and also Riut here that was delivering the prizes for us. Very cool to receive the prizes from the hands of Riut. It was indeed very cool. And this is the big photo here from the finals. Me and Brew receiving the first place after the best of 7. Gabi and Biel reaching here the second place. And Tonchibara, the sponsor, together with Riut, one of the most known names here from the Brazilian scene. LAN events are cool, guys. Honestly, I was way too focused on the games. I could barely do the talking. Oh, look at this. I just used one of the red phones holders there to place on the bat, and honestly it was totally worth it. I would totally do that again. And that's basically it, guys. I just took my key there as well to get the trophy with me in the finals. I want him to have some good memories of his father, right? So that's basically it. So those are some of the photos, guys. I think that we're just going over it, going after it over and over again there. So basically, who took place on this tournament? Who played? Who were the players? As I said, there were several divisions here, but I'm just going over the 2K division, the most competitive one. So we were divided here into duos there. So we did had Fire and Alive, with Gabi and BL, the second place from the tournament, Faraday and PJ9. PJ9 is Paganini, you guys probably know him. This was a very interesting team. They are very strong strategically wise, and they also Paganini also hosts several tournaments on his channel. You guys probably know him from the stream or from his channel as well on YouTube. We also had Sub-Zero and Fast Turtle. Fast Turtle is a young guy from Brazil, pretty good. Sub-Zero is one of the guys that attended to the finals and was there as well. We did fought against them on the second round from the tournament. We also had Dogao and Fiage, so an old school team here. Fiage coming back and making an appearance here, showing that he got in shape real quick. Goku and Riut, one of the favorite teams here for the tournament. Many players were betting there. I think that a lot of Brazilians do expect and hope that at some point Riut go back like full into the game. We also had SS Old and Martins, some other two guys from the SS team, Playboy and Sokacheca, another two guys that also took place on the tournament, and me and Brew basically taking place. As you can see, we had a variation of teams, and some teams like Onimaru that hold like the best players from the world actually scattered their players to give a bit more balance to the tournament. So they didn't do duos like, oh, let's go with like Goku and Fire, for example, or things like this, which was quite interesting. With that said, we did had a double bracket, a double elimination bracket. We started here with Sub-Zero killing both Playboy and Sokacheck by 2-1. Then we just beat those guys 3-0, but do not mistaken yourselves, we actually had some hard games, especially on the map Arena and Valley of Kings, where we lost TCs and got pushed real hard before getting back here on the game. We also had Goku and Riut beating Gabi and BL 3-1, so this was quite insane because Riut was basically returning to the game and they did eliminated Gabi and BL here on the first round, or actually did not eliminate but rather send them to the lower bracket. Fire and Alive just beat Old and Martins, Dogao and Fiage beating the Faraday and Paganini, and then we got to the upper bracket semifinals where we did face Goku and Riut. It was very interesting. It was honestly a very interesting set. We did lose Arabia. It was our first loss here, me and Brew, and then but we did advance here to the finals. We also, meanwhile, Dogao and Fiage also eliminated front by 3-0 Fire and Alive, and we were very concerned about this thing. Me and Brew were discussing, and we had different guesses on who would be like the strongest duos or our strongest challenge during the tournament. Brew thought it would be like Goku and Riut. I thought it would be Dogao and Fiage, and we were all wrong because in the end we did play the finals against BL and Gabi. So let's talk about what happened here with BL and Gabi and how did they reach the finals there. By the way, we did beat Dogao and Fiage by 4-2. What happens here is after losing to Goku and Riut, Gabi and BL actually got their team game a lot better and they started killing things one by one. So they went here to the lower bracket where they did beat Sub-Zero and Fast Turtle by 2-1. Then they proceed to play against Fire and Alive, beating them by 2-0. Proceed to then fight and get their rematch against Goku and Riut that just eliminated or sent them to the lower bracket with the 3-1 score. And look what happened. Yes, they did got their revenge and did won by 3-1. Then they did proceed here to play the semifinals, the lower bracket semifinals, which actually would grant a second spot here to the land finals. So it could be a final between me and Brew versus Dogao and Fiage or versus BL and Gabi. Honestly, we were betting on Dogao and Fiage, but Gabi and BL did surprise us and did win the games here. For example, with maps like Jungle Rumble, played an excellent Arabia, losing only Golden Lakes and later winning African Clearing with a very solid strategy that they were using in every round. I think that's worth mentioning that on every round, Gabi and BL used this strategy for the African clearing map, which was basically consisting of Turks plus Koreans in a very open map. I know it's word, but it actually worked pretty well. So they did win the first. Let's go from the start of the tournament. They did win against Goku and Riut using this Korean plus Turk strategy. They did win against Sub-Zero and Fast Turtle using yet the same strategy. They proceed to play Fire and Alive, and guess what? They didn't get to the African clearing game, but I honestly believe that they would have won using the same strategy. On their rematch against Goku and Riut, I think that they were concerned about the draft, and they did eliminate the African clearing map before it was played. Against Dogao and FH, well, they did underestimate this team, and they also won using the Korean plus Turk strategy once again. And finally, guys, we did have here in the finals the same map being played, but we were watching and we did a lot of preparation and counter strategies, so we did manage to beat them on their map, the African clearing, and honestly, this was totally worth winning the finals. So let's go and explain some stuff. By the way, there was a map that was quite interesting there. This is the map pool. We did play Arabia, we did had African clearing on the pool, a chicken Arabia, a very open and aggressive version of Arabia, very difficult to defend. I honestly hated this map generation because I'm a much more defensive player. We also had Arena, a version of Arena with a smaller middle here, and we can go over the maps. We had Golden Lakes, Islands as well. Jungle Rumble was one of my favorite maps here, very interesting one. I don't know if you guys have seen this map for the 2v2 version, but we can go over it. Land Nomad, and Socotra. We also had Sumatra, Valley of Kings, and Z-Wall. So this was basically the Warlords 2 map here, but the thing is, we did had no sling allowed until Imperial Age, and that gave a lot of strategical variance. If you guys did watch Warlords, you will see that in most of the games, you either had meta of Archer and Knights, or you had sling. So banning sling until Imperial Age actually allowed with us to have a lot of strategical variance on the game. I would like to invite you guys to watch some of the games and how they were played. Let's start here with Jungle Rumble. We did started making a strategy here for the Jungle Rumble map. Let me first introduce the map and show you guys some of the games from the lower bracket finals here, or the semi-finals of the tournament between BL and Gabi and Dogao and FH. So on this map, Jungle Rumble, you have the things scattered here. There are two players that will be inside of this arena, surrounded by this forest, and they will just start with a small arena map containing here berries, a small amount of gold, a lot of wood here on the back, and of course there's plenty of golds and relics for these players to fight from in the center. There are at least 3 relics and there are several gold piles. So whoever actually controls this area can actually play with a double gold composition for a long time because there's plenty of gold available. But if you have no access to this gold, it means that your team is going to struggle. So you have one player from each team on the inside and one player from each team on the outside. As you can see, you have Gabi here on one side, FH on the other, and what do you have on the outside? Well, 2 piles of 3 golds each, some berries, and also some wood. In order to access the center and fight with your teammates, you actually need to cut off the wood. So everyone would actually, instead of going for the smaller woods, everyone would actually go for the bigger ones already, trying to cut it during the game and get towards the Imperial Age. Players could actually access each other if they went through the sides here, but guys, you guys have no idea on how long that is. If you started to make a rush, you would actually reach your opponent when he was already ready on the field of age. If you try to go for a scout rush, good chances that you only would get your scouts on the enemy wood line by the time you reach Castle Age. For this reason, we ended up going for more fast castle strategies. Of course, there was also the potential for some kind of sneak, but this was not what actually happened on the tournament. Everyone kind of went for the fast castle, and BL and Gabi just stolen one of our strategies here, and honestly, that's exactly what you need to do. If you see someone using a strong strategy, you don't know the counter, and you are like, this works pretty well, you should also adapt, practice, and get this strategy for yourself, which is exactly what they did here. So what was this strategy consisted of? Basically playing with Armenians here on the center. So you do have BL playing here with the Armenians. The idea of the Armenians was to go for a fast castle into a fortified monastery and control the center using the Armenian technology tree, the Armenian infantry and monks. So the access to pikemen, the warrior priest to collect the relics, the monks, and then just keep building fortified churches to control the map and deny the others to advance. So we did use this strategy in other rounds, and it worked pretty well for us. And they actually adapted our strategy and used it against a Malay plus Mongol here from Dogao and FH. So basically you had Teutons booming, Mongols booming, and here in the center you had both Malay and Armenians. And guys, I'm going to be honest, if I had to choose, I would say that Mongols are quite a good counter to the Teutons because they do have great Cav archers, which are one of the weaknesses from the Teutons. So if you boom into Elite Mangudai, that would also be pretty good. Let's also discuss about something else, about the stones in this map. If you are born in the inside area of the map, there will be no stone available at all. So you need to be very wise on how to use your stone. You are at maximum dropping like 2 extra TCs with your standard stone, or if you want to, you can just sell your stone to get a better uptime. So there were different approaches, or just save up your stone for adding a second and a third TC later on. But in my opinion, playing here in the center was honestly a way better game if you just went for like a 1 TC play and try to control the map. On the outside, as you can see, Gabi was defending herself with palisades, so even if he tried something like a scout rush or a sneak, he would actually not be able to reach Gabi's economy without having to touch her, but he was feeling way more confident and went going for an open boom here. The stones are only available here on the corners of the map. You have one big stone per corner, which basically the boomer player or the player on the outside can actually access. So this actually made very interesting. If you wanted to go for a drop a castle, or if you wanted to go for some kind of unique unit, you would actually have to start booming already collecting one of these stones, or at least placing a town center. That would actually be my personal recommendation. I think that some of the greatest civs that you could actually use here to boom were the ones that have like either good Imperial Age or good army compositions. Civilizations such as Bohemians that were basically banned in every round, civilizations such as the Cumans, such as the Khmer, such as the Hindustani, such as the Saracens, such as the Teutons, such as the Mongols. So any civilization that you are like, okay, if I boom and I get to fight during Imperial Age, I'm actually going to make a great fight here, just go for this civ, and that was pretty much what everyone did. As you can see, this is BL's strategy. He just went for the center, doing a barracks first, so he did had a few spearmen. Upon realizing that he was against light cavalry, the player would basically upgrade pikemen, so now you would be playing with pikemen versus light cavalry while slowly controlling the map with the fortified churches. The fortified church would cover this area and allow the players to actually develop and get the relics. So this was one of the most interesting strategies here from the game. As you can see, the player with the Warrior Priest starts to healing his own units, starts to collect relics, and already open an advantage against his opponent. Trying to fight against it or punishing it was very difficult, and many failed when trying to do so, because whenever you are trying to fight the Armenian, if he feels like he's losing the Monk Rush, he will just jump into the churches and go for another round, wait for his conversions to recharge, or bring extra reinforcements from the barracks to support it. But the biggest thing here about this strategy was not only having this very difficult to deal with Monk Rush, but there were also quite a few other stuffs. For example, the fortified church is the only building from the game that only costs wood, but it still shoots arrows when garrisoned from inside. So one of the biggest things about this map was that you could actually try to win the map control and block the access from the boomer player to the center, making the game a 2v1 at some point, and that would basically give your team the access to the gold while denying the other team the access to the middle gold. For example, on this game you can see Dogao heavily trying to deny the Monk Rush with the use of light cav and his own monks here. He just went a light cavalry into double monastery, while the Armenian player is just playing with his regular infantry and also using his monks whenever he feels threatened. He jump on the church, making it very, very difficult to punish. FH here was on the back, collecting some relics and trying to annoy. Both FH and Gabi were booming, but guys, I think that Gabi was studying the map a bit more, because she knew that if he wanted to make a castle and wanted to control the center, he would need a town center here on the neutral stone. FH sent a few villagers to get that, but Gabi was actually going for a 4 TC, even 5 TC boom. So heavy booming here on the outside was quite a strategy. FH went went for a faster boom here with 3 TCs, but then look what just happened. And this was actually part of our strategy, and I think that BL and Gabi totally get how it worked and use it in a very interesting manner. Dropping a fortified church on the back of front of the wood line from your opponent would just slow down their access to the center by a lot. Basically, by having a fortified church here means that you could place villagers inside, shoot down the enemy views, and deny them to get access to the wood. This would force the enemies to go for things like castles, or even be forced to upgrade onager in order to cut the wood and finally access the center. So this was quite tricky to deal with, and because of this, players actually got desperate trying to do something. As you can see, Dogao went heavy here with his light Kevin monks trying to stop that, which actually forced a fight where BL knew exactly where the enemy monks were because of the line of sight, and could actually force up some great conversions. Honestly, I do like the light cavalry plus monk composition here, but BL monk play was quite well. He did manage to convert several monks from Dogao and just transition into the game, while slowly denying FH the access to the center. It doesn't matter how strong you are and how fast you are to Imperial Age if you cannot access the other areas of the map. For example, Gabi just blocked here the right access to her base by using stone walls, and she was also sending more villagers here to the left side to do the same. So basically walling off the enemy and denying him the access from the sides. That would actually force the confrontations to happen on the center. And as you can see, on the center, playing with the Armenians, you could actually keep spamming fortified churches and delay the access from your opponents to the center. Meanwhile, your ally would easily cut here the trees, go towards the center, and start spamming units that the player that was fighting with like 1 or at maximum 2 TCs would have a lot of difficulty to defend. And that was basically the strategy that we did execute here on Jungle Rumble, that was also adapted here by Gabi and BL, and honestly I felt that this was one of the strongest strategies that we could be using on the map, and they did thought the same, and it was one of the strategies that allowed the players to go towards the finals. So whoever understood this strategy already had one extra point or one extra score to go to the next age. And as you can see, despite the strength from FH, he's actually still not accessing the center, while his ally is getting doubled here. So this is a pretty effective strategy, because you are just forcing a guy that is not that doesn't have his economy fully developed to have to deal with 2 players at once, one monk rusher and one guy spamming his best unit, be either a camel, a knight, a paladin, whatever. It is just very difficult to stop, and the Mongols won't be able to do anything until he actually cuts off. By the time the Mongol cuts off, the enemies are already on the inside, dealing several amount of damage, and this is one of the key aspects of the game. By the time FH gets to the inside of the map, and he's not playing Mango Dash because he didn't went heavy enough on the stone, he actually going for the Revic of Archer and onagers, the enemy is already here on the inside and killing his ally. And because of this, Gabi and other teams just managed to play like and kill one guy before the other reached the center. And by doing like this strategy, you are basically going for a 2v1 scenario where you were controlling most of the gold already with the fortified churches, and of course once reaching and killing the other guy, you would just transform this game in a 2 versus 1. So this was one of the interesting games that we had on the tournament, but I'm gonna move around and go for a video specific about the games from the finals and the tournament preparation.